Welcome back to the Working Faith podcast, where we take a spiritual approach to career success. I'm your host, Jalen Isley, and today we're talking about work performance and results. And I am so excited to introduce a new friend, a wonderful colleague, Neffeteria Williams. So Neffeteria works at a travel products company as a junior analyst in inventory and merchandising. Her life's philosophy could be summed up in one quote: everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, then it's not the end. She started on the phones 7.5 years ago and worked her way up to the corporate world. In addition to being an analyst at the company, she is a certified mother-daughter relationship coach. So Neffeteria, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Thank you again.
Absolutely. So, this show is all about leveraging the spiritual principles of our faith to positively impact the workplace and grow our careers. So let's start by talking about your faith journey. Now, I know you identify as spiritual. What are some of the core principles of your faith that resonate with you, and how have they shaped who you are today?
Core principles for me would be compassion, integrity, self-growth, and just awareness. I feel tapping into those areas and honing in on them has shaped me because, as I say, self-awareness and clarity, I was at a point to where I can look into me, really find out who I am, what makes me outside of all of the different labels that I have, like mother, employee, friend. And at that point, being able to truly tap into who I am and know who I am and know what those values that I carry, it helped me to make decisions going forward.
Yeah, and talk to me a little bit about your spiritual journey. Like, how has that evolved over time and kind of impacted or shaped who you are today?
I wasn't always spiritual, growing up Christian. I actually was in two different homes. So I had a Baptist church, and then I had my adoptive parents, which was Christian non-denomination. And growing up, it was more so like that routine. You have to go to church every Sunday, Bible study. So for me, I didn't have that connection within the church of going. It was more so I was like, I know the relationship that I have. I read my Bible, I talk with God, I pray. And at that point, I stepped back from actually doing the physical part of going to a church and just more took it on to a personal level. And even today, I'm still that way. I may say spiritual, but I have my conversations with him. And I feel like those conversations have gotten deeper with my spirituality because I found my way of talking to him instead of the traditional go to church and get on your knees and pray way. And that has been more effective with me to help me become who I am today.
Yeah, and the principles that first stated, can you say those again for us? Like, what are those core principles that really resonate with you?
Compassion,
Hmm.
integrity, self-growth. Most importantly, the number one thing that I'm very big on is self-awareness and clarity.
Yeah, definitely. And how would you say those spiritual beliefs have influenced your ability to perform and deliver results in your career?
That has been my backbone for where I'm at right now. Stepping into a new arena. I recently moved into corporate. So that's a whole nother world. And I realized I wasn't as prepared as I thought I needed to be. And tapping into the clarity and the self-awareness and always continuing to want to grow, learn and grow, those have helped me get through coming into this new arena, taking in the different challenges and obstacles that have come my way and finding ways to get through them healthy.
Hmm. That is the key. Like, it's not just a matter of going through a challenge or an opportunity. Like, you want to thrive. You're not just trying to survive in your career. You want to be healthy. You don't want to succumb to burnout or stress or, all of those different things that can really take a meaningful, enjoyable career and turn it into something that we're dreading the Mondays, going into work. So, that point that you put on the end, like doing it and being healthy at the same time, is something that so many people are striving to do. So tell me, like, can you give a specific example of a challenge or an opportunity in which you relied on those spiritual principles to guide your behavior?
I would say overall, balancing everything out, learning how to take on this new role, master that new role to the expectations of yourself, but also the company. Like when I say balance, it's not just balancing your work tasks, it's balancing your mental health, it's balancing those tasks, it's balancing just your processes of how you get through your day and how you set that up. And then when those challenges do come, being able to balance how you observe that challenge, how you process that challenge, and then how you execute that challenge, and balancing the emotions that you're going to go through in those different phases of that challenge. So, my spirituality has helped a lot, and the different principles of it has helped because there's been times where I'm like, okay, before I get to that burnout, as you mentioned, I have to figure out what am I going to do? Because that's not going to be healthy for me. So meditating, journaling, just having those conversations with myself. And as I mentioned before, when I said I have found new ways of how I have my relationship with God, that's what I mean with those conversations. I do have those moments that I do pray. You do the traditional, hey, God, there's a lot going on. Can you help me out or show me the way? But one of the ones that I found that's very effective for me, and I feel like it's the way that he's talking to me, is I have those conversations with myself and I bring up those issues and I have a full blown conversation. And as some would think, oh, it's talking to yourself, I look at it as it's God's way of talking to me so
Mm.
that I will hear and I would listen if I didn't take up the notes or like the little hints that he's giving me in other ways.
Yeah, yeah. And so, you have moved into this new role. And once again, I really appreciate, you stating the importance of having that balance. You are going into a new role, you're trying to master it, you're asking questions, you're staying curious, you're being open to growing as a team member here, but you're also taking the time to invest in your mental health and relying on that to give you the clarity you need to move forward. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, yes. Understanding where you are helps you get further to where you want to be.
Right.
And one thing also I didn't mention is just being able to take that criticism as
Mm.
well.
Yeah, and it takes like a spiritually strong person to be able to receive constructive criticism and turn it around and actually use it to their benefit as opposed to letting it feed their insecurities or tear them down. So, it does take someone who takes the time to invest in their spirituality, their health that way to do that. So, with that in mind, we've got mental health, emotional health, all of that becoming more and more prominent, spoken about more freely at work, and people are getting the support and the resources that they need. I consider someone's spirituality to be a core part of their wellness. So, are there specific practices you use to maintain your spiritual health and well-being?
Yes, mindfulness is very, very big. I have my routines. I have a like morning routine, I have my evening routine, which encompasses affirmations in the form of mirror work. I take that time every morning just to pump myself up for the day, remind myself who I am, remind myself of those skills that I possess that I will be able to use while I'm at work. Just letting myself know I'm here for a reason. I wasn't just dropped off by accident. God knew what He was doing, and I got this. And then as I come back in the evening, I reflect on how the day went, where places that I can improve, what I would like to see happen tomorrow. And I do this every week. I have my Sunday for the entire week, and then I do the same thing every day for each day.
That makes sense. Yeah, that consistency is what makes the difference. Like if you just do
Yes.
it once, you may not see results, but that consistency over time really fortifies your spirit and puts you in a position to handle any challenge or opportunity that comes your way. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I really like to wrap things up with some advice on how people can apply spirituality and take a spiritual approach to their career success. So, in this case, what's your advice to anyone who's listening on how they can take a spiritual approach to their performance and their results in their careers?
Mindfulness for first and foremost. And like I mentioned for my routine, the affirmations, you don't have to do it through mirror work. Find your way of celebrating yourself and the small wins, the big wins. But going into work, just remember who you are, what you're capable of, and your purpose. And I always say one thing anytime you have any challenges, reframe the question of why is this happening to me to why is this happening for me? Because anything that happens, all the different journeys that you're going to go through in this new world, this corporate world, everything teaches you, grows you, strengthens you to that final picture. You just have to embrace it and enjoy the.
Makes sense. All right. Well, it has been such a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about this one simple thing that I'm going to be doing in the upcoming week, this mindfulness, as I move forward and try to deliver my results in my own career. And I'm sure that everyone else is going to be doing the same. So thank you for listening to Working Faith. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. You can find Neffeteria on LinkedIn, and her contact information and everything else that's going on in her world will be displayed in the show notes. And if you have any questions about your career and how you can accelerate your performance and your results, then visit us at workingfaith.com. Remember to subscribe, rate, and share the show with others. I'd love to hear your comments. You can engage with me directly by joining the Working Faith group on LinkedIn. And thanks again for listening. We'll be back next week for more tips on how you can take a spiritual approach to your career success and work your faith. Good day.